Star Fox has had a rough and colorful history since its debut on the Super Nintendo back in 1993. The series started off pretty strong with the first game that showed off the capabilities of the Super FX chip on the Super Nintendo, along with just being a fun game. And 64 released a few years later and improved on the first game in every way possible, practically still being the hallmark of the series to this day. And it's not hard to see why that's the case once you look into the GameCube era and onward, but we're not really here to discuss what went wrong with Star Fox. We're here to figure out the best course the series could take in order to stay relevant in this day and age, since it is in a bit of an awkward position since Zero. There's about two ways I could see Star Fox going that would help it back on its feet. The first idea is keeping Star Fox as more so of a budget series. Think along the lines of how the 3DS had the Dillon's Rolling Western series on the eShop, or the Pushmo games. Now let me clarify a bit. Star Fox most of the time has been a very arcadey, on-rail shooter, and while there's nothing explicitly wrong with that, it also means that a lot of the games end up being short, and a lot of the replay value comes from just getting higher scores. The rail shooter genre, alongside the beat-em-up genre, tend to have a hard time justifying a $60 price tag unless there's a lot of meat on the bone. You don't really see many of these games on the market these days that go above $40 or $50. Let's take Star Fox Zero for example. While it did release on the market with a $60 price tag, it also came with a whole other game. While Guard is a glorified tech demo, it also shows that Nintendo wasn't confident enough in Zero that it would sell for $60 by itself. Assuming Nintendo goes back to the established gameplay of the first two games with the new game, selling it at a lower price than your average Switch game would be a good way to get people to buy it, especially since the Switch has a larger user base than that of the Wii U. The other idea would be going back to something along the lines of what Assault did but combine it with Kid Icarus Uprising. Assault and Uprising share some ideas when it comes to gameplay, with both having on-rail shooter segments and ground-based combat, but with how both of them handle these ideas they couldn't be any more different. For the sake of getting to the point, they should try to make something along the lines of Star Fox Assault, but with the refined gameplay and content of that of Kid Icarus Uprising. Now I'm not saying to make the next Star Fox a carbon copy of Kid Icarus Uprising. There's just a lot of ideas that Star Fox could really borrow off of Kid Icarus in order to help better itself. Give Fox and crew a variety of different skills and weapons they can unlock and equip throughout the game. Reward players consistently for completing levels at higher difficulties, or completing certain tasks during certain missions. Let players bring in their unique skill and weapon combos from the single player game into a fun and fleshed out multiplayer mode. Don't let the missions be so short. Give players more than enough content so that they have a reason to keep replaying, for more than just a higher score on a level. The only problem I really see Star Fox having when trying to follow the Kid Icarus Uprising route is how much they could stretch out the universe and characters to add enough missions to the game. Uprising benefited a lot from its characters and settings being based on Greek mythology, along with the story not taking itself too seriously. This allowed Uprising to have a lot of unique scenarios that would crop up in between the main story, like hopping into a dimension where reality doesn't make much sense, going into space to deal with space pirates and fight a space kraken, or dealing with some kind of technological alien invasion. While Star Fox is fictional as any other game world, I'm inclined to believe that it plays itself pretty straight, at least compared to Kid Icarus Uprising. While stuff like magic and other dimensions do exist in Star Fox, they haven't really been anything big, with one basically just being an Easter egg and the other just a footnote in Star Fox's history. In regards to characters and character design, Uprising benefits itself a lot from the setting and the way it carries the story, as you can get characters like this, or this without them seeming like they clash too much with what this game established for its world. Most of Uprising's characters have pretty standout personalities that keep them from being mostly bland.
Oh, I must have dozed off there. Oh, raiding around is such exhausting work.
Fear the wrath of my pyroblasters, space weirdos! Ha 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 ha! Kablooey, kablooey!
Yes, let's let Chiron take care of this.
Hades could have easily even made your atypical bad guy. When he's introduced though, he's anything but. He's almost always there to make a snarky comment about the current situation, to taunt Pitta's crew, or just be a total ass about something. Now this is just my opinion. Now while I don't hate the Star Fox cast, I always found them a little bit lacking in the personality department. Since every character's introduction, they've been consistently the same since they were introduced, with the only exception is maybe being peppy. and really the only thing that changed for him is his role on the team, after the likes of Star Fox 64. It also doesn't help that Star Fox's most prominent villain is also one of the most forgettable Nintendo villains out there. While there was a Star Fox game out there that tried to put more focus on the characters, it also did it in the worst way possible, basically making it a glorified space soap opera. Now, I'm not asking for the Star Fox cast to become goofballs, or for them to crack incredibly lame jokes at the worst possible time like a current-day Marvel movie. It's just a very fine line that they have to walk in order to handle the characters and world, without betraying the characters or how the world works. Now, I want to make it clear, I don't believe Nintendo would take either of these routes without some kind of miracle happening. Nor do I believe what I've said is the be-all end-all for what Star Fox needs. They could take it in a whole other direction, but so long as it ends up a good game, I wouldn't really mind. Honestly, the worst case scenario would be if they decided to port Zero instead of making a new game, but who knows what the future truly holds. If you somehow made it this far in the video, why not leave some of your ideas and prospects for the Star Fox series down in the comments section, since I am curious about what direction people want to see the series go in. I hope you enjoyed the video and that you all take care.